Welcome to What Are You Living For? A podcast where we explore what it looks like to live a life in pursuit of a greater treasure and a higher kingdom in everyday life. God wants you and I to joyfully experience life in Him and calls us to live our lives for Him in a practical and powerful way. So let's dive in together and see what God has for us today as we ponder the question, what are you living for? What's up, guys? Welcome to What Are You Living For with JT. I'm sitting in a Starbucks. Well, actually, we're outside of Starbucks right now. It's a beautiful day in Mishawaka, Indiana. And I have my friend, longtime friend, also fellow evangelist kid, Hunter Sivinksty is with me. And we are going to be talking about a lot of things. We're going to be talking about prayer. We're going to be talking about dependence on God. We're going to be talking about suffering. Hunter has a really unique, special story in his life, especially in the past 4 years, how God has been leading him and guiding him. And I'm just praying that this would be a very encouraging, practical episode for us to see what it looks like to live for God as young people. So Hunter, thank you for joining me. Thank you for working this out.
Yeah,
thank you for even buying me coffee.
Yeah, no problem.
He is such a nice guy. You can hear it's iced coffee, and it's black too. So
yes, sir.
So Hunter, tell us a little bit about yourself. Obviously, I gave away a little bit. You grew up as an evangelist kid,
Yes.
So we have similar stories traveling around the U.S. and the world. What are some of like the coolest places you feel like you've traveled growing up?
Oh man, so it'd have to be some of our mission trips that we took. So we were really blessed in that we were able to go to, I think it was 5 or 6 different countries for mission trips. So my favorite place is Ireland. We got to go there. I've been there 3 times.
Okay.
We went twice as a family, and
Nice.
then once I just went by myself.
Okay.
And man, you want to talk about probably the prettiest country I've ever been to. Just a really unique culture that they have there. Very laid back, very rural. It's almost like the Midwest, which feels just right at home for me since I'm from Indiana. And man, I just loved it there. Got to go to England for a little bit.
That's
Got
cool.
to see some really cool castles and some different things. We went to South Africa.
Okay.
Got to go on a little bit of a safari, see some elephants, and all kinds of cool animals.
Sweet.
And we've gotten to go to New Zealand. And
Okay.
then probably just for like sightseeing. My favorite was Italy. We got to go there.
Ooh.
We were there in 2020.
Okay.
Almost got stuck there in COVID.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was crazy.
Because when were you guys traveling? Was it right around when the world shut down?
Yeah. So right before we left, COVID was just now like coming out, like nothing in the U.S. And it was kind of that thing of like, man, is this something we should be concerned about?
All the toilet paper disappearing.
Right. And so we emailed the missionary, and he's like, oh no, you guys, it should be totally fine for you to come here. The place in Italy that it had, I guess COVID had kind of started being prevalent in was like complete opposite side. So like, I think where we were in Grosseto was like kind of southern Italy, and then it was in northern Italy. It's either that or the other way around. I don't remember. So he's like, come on over, should be no problem. Well, we were there less than a week, and it had made its way all the way down, basically throughout the entire country of Italy. And so we were planning on, staying and spending a few days in Rome, going to Florence, seeing the Vatican, a couple different things like that. And it was crazy because we're like, all right, we got to change our tickets so we can get home. And so we changed it to the earliest date possible. And our last day at Rome, they completely shut Rome down.
Oh no!
And so like we almost couldn't get food. Like we went to like this little like grocery shop.
Okay.
Like just little kind of market.
Yeah.
Got some pieces of like deli meat.
Okay.
I don't remember the names of it. They were Italian, but it was like we spent our last day in Rome like inside our Airbnb. So it was like kind of unfortunate because you're in Rome, you want to go see stuff.
Right.
But we got home right in time, and then by the time we got back, Indiana started going into their lockdown.
Okay.
So it was right in the thick of it.
Wow. So did you do any traveling after 2020? then
I
a little
did
bit?
not. So I graduated 2020, and the fall of 2020.
Okay.
You talk about a weird college experience,
Yeah.
especially freshman year.
Yeah.
I was going. So I went to Bob. For those of you who don't know me, I went to Bob Jones in fall of 2020, and we're wearing. Everyone had to wear masks. They didn't want. So we didn't really do much inside. So there's no singing in chapel.
Okay.
Super weird.
Yeah.
When we were in any building, you had to have your mask on. And so, like, you're sitting in class for hours in a day, like, you actually start to get pretty sick because you're breathing in, your own air and all that.
Yep.
I had terrible headaches from it.
I bet.
Terrible. And they were like, we don't want more than 3 people in the dorm room. Like, you can't have more than 3 people in your room, and
so barely any people visit.
Yeah, and you weren't supposed to have large groups, even supposedly, like, outside.
Yeah.
It was so, like, everything any activity that we did at Bob Jones had to be outside, and that was just it was weird. And I don't know, were you there at all?
I wasn't there when things were shut down because I came in spring or fall of 22.
Okay.
So most of the stuff I don't know really what it looked like, but I've heard horror stories.
Yeah, you didn't even you weren't there for the quarantine dorm.
Oh yeah. Well, my wife, Kate, she got quarantined during a break and was like by herself for a whole week in the dorm. Like they dropped off food for her, and it was like day-old dining common food, which if you know anything about Bob Jones food, brought to you by Aramark, it was a unique experience.
Yes,
I'll say it kindly.
was.
It was a unique experience.
They did a couple things well that were like chicken and waffles.
Yeah,
that was like the one I was like, I like that.
Yeah. Keyword is couple things well. The rest you had to really fend for yourself and figure some things out. So I heard it's really good now, but yeah.
It's gotten
anyway,
a lot better
so
from what I've heard. And well, the crazy thing was 2020, we only had 2 options in the dining common.
Oh really?
So they didn't have if there was nothing good to eat, you usually could get at least pizza, right? They didn't have the pizza. And they would pre-plate all the food, and they would wrap it in tin foil. So
it's like a surprise. You don't know what's happening.
They would tell you.
Okay, well that's good. That's good.
You'd be like, okay, we've got chicken sandwiches over here, but then you go get it, and it's under the heating tray. So when you open it, it's all like moist inside. It's like all wet and soggy. And then you could have like the comfort food, which would be like maybe like some ham or roast beef.
Yeah.
And it would all be like super dry.
Ooh.
And like it was not. That was pretty tough.
Yeah.
Like, only 2 options.
Right.
Whereas now you've got.
I guess
probably over 8 to 10 options of. Like, there's no cereal bar, there was no waffle maker, there's no sandwich makers,
because you can't make anything yourself because you're going to be spreading it to other people.
Right. Oh,
so,
it was insane.
Man, what a time! So graduated 2020 in out of high school into college, and catch us up to speed of when kind of your whole life is a testimony, but specifically as God started allowing some suffering and sickness into your life. When was that? And even jumpstart us into that journey.
I think I would like to back up to high school.
Okay.
So kind of just briefly.
Yeah.
So there were a couple things that I didn't, like during high school that I really struggled with. And one was the area of friends. So like, as you know, traveling, like I just didn't have friends. And for whatever reason in the churches we were at, there was like never anybody my brother and I's age. So it was really hard on me. And, during my later high school years, our church had gone through some hard times, and then we had gotten a new pastor. We actually got a youth pastor who actually traveled with you, Ben Jaquo.
Oh, yeah.
And, he's coming in. And so, all these really good things are happening at church. And I actually had a handful of friends at church that I started to grow really, I was not content, with traveling. I really struggled. And looking back, I wouldn't have known it then, but I really started to idolize friendships. And then the other thing I really idolized, probably from the time I was 15, all the way into college, was just finding a girlfriend. I was very, I just really wanted a relationship really, really bad. And just, like, I would not have recognized it as an idol back in my high school years, but as I look back now, it was like something that I really worshipped, like almost like my life is going to be really good if I get this. So we fast forward, into college.
Yeah.
Was I get to college and it's like, oh man, I got consistent friends. Like, all these people.
What you've always wanted.
What I've always wanted. There was a handful of people who I knew from traveling with mom and dad, and I loved it. And so it was like, and it was awesome. And one thing I should say about high school was there was a couple girls that I liked, and I wanted to date them, but my dad wouldn't let me. My parents wouldn't let me date. And so I struggled with that. And so there was, for whatever reason, I guess my dad didn't really talk to me a lot about it, like what dating would look like at college.
Yeah.
So my mind was like, man, as soon as I get to college, I can date, I can do whatever I want in a way. And so it was funny because I had a lot of friends, and we were talking about dating a little bit, and I told him, I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to date until probably my junior year. And I don't know why I even said that. I was probably trying to be cool, whatever. I'm going to wait, just really enjoy, spend time with the boys.
Waits before dates. A's before bays was what we would say.
And so I would say that, and all my friends were like, oh yeah, right, and whatever, and I don't even know. We're probably not even so we get in, I don't know, August, first or second week of August, and I think it was by the end of that month I met somebody that I liked.
Yep.
And so, long story short, I had a good friend group. Well, I won't say good. At first, it seemed really good. We had a lot of fun together. And this girl that I liked was a part of it. So as time goes on, October, November, I was like, I really think I want to date this girl. And I, asked my parents, because I was like, I'm going to get their permission, of course, and as well as her parents' permission. And my parents are like, no, we don't want you to date your freshman year. And this is news to me, and I'm just now this kind of starts showing where the idol in my heart was, because there was a sense in which I really wanted to obey my parents, but I was like, they're just old school, they don't know what they're talking about, all this stuff. And so as time goes on, I really genuinely think that I tried to obey my parents and do what they did. There were a lot of things that we stopped doing. We stopped spending as much time together. Well, then, as the next semester comes into the spring semester, it was also weird because we got off at Thanksgiving. We were done with the semester at Thanksgiving. Right. And so we were gone from each other. This girl and I, we were gone for about, I think we had a 7-week break. So it was almost like a summer break. Yeah. And it was awesome to have that much time off, but we get back to school and we're we had just felt like we'd grown so much closer together. We get to school and it's man, we just felt like we were in a place where we were dating, without the title. We were basically doing everything. And so that brought some problems with my parents and different things. And long after kind of fighting, I don't want to say it was fighting. I'm just going to call it like it was. It was fighting with my parents. They caved, and I'm surprised that they did. But they caved, and they said, all right, we're going to let you two date. So it was finally official in February or whatever. And so that is when, I feel so she was being idolized in my heart up to that point. But with a battle of really just a spiritual battle of good and evil, of okay, I know I want this, but I'm going to restrain myself because of what my parents want. So there was that trying to do good, but it seemed once I started dating, evil just took over. Where we just started spending all of our time together. She became just everything revolved around the relationship. We were spending every spare moment we could with each other. We were texting in class, which was really bad. We weren't paying attention to our classes. I was just a really bad leader, all around. And so, that relationship did not last. There were just some things that had happened that came out, just some trust was broken, and it just, I tried to hold on to it after those things came out, and eventually I ended it, which was the best thing ever, that I could have ever done, just because mainly because of where my heart was. And I think that it would have gone, if I were to have continued, it's really God's grace that He even brought me to a point where I was able to think clearly enough to end it, because I would have it would have ended way worse. It would have been a lot of sin. Where it was headed was not good. And so I come out of that, and our friend group kind of had revolved around that a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's in August of 2021. And I just remember being very broken, because the thing that I idolized so much was all of a sudden gone.
Yeah.
I lost a lot of friends over that. So I go back to school, and I just am, I don't have any friends. I don't have a girlfriend. I just lost everything that was important to me at that time.
Everything you came into school saying, like, finally it's going to fix it. The happiness that I've been wanting, the freedom that I've been wanting. I can date, I can have friends. But then now God takes those things away.
Yeah. And so also kind of a little bit during the time when I was dating her, I started having a little bit of stomach pain, which will come into play later. But so I go into that semester just very, very broken. So I'm trying to rebuild friendships, and things started getting a little bit better. I started taking Taekwondo from your grandpa.
Right, yep.
And started working out again, which was something I hadn't done during that whole relationship.
Yeah.
And started building some good friendships with my guys in my society.
Yeah. That's a Christian fraternity, if you don't know what that means. Yeah.
Yes.
Little BJ lingo.
Yeah. And so, there were some good things, but I remember no one was asking to do anything. I just didn't have anyone to hang out with.
Yeah.
And I remember I had this group of friends who I wasn't really close with yet, but they're like, "Hey, we're going to what was it? We're going to, what is it? Sky Zone. Do you want to come?" And I was just like, yes, let's go. I'm so ready for this to hang out, because there's some pretty cool guys.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do this. So I go over there, and we're having a great time. And I'm not an athletic person, just in general. And we were on this one thing where it's like a circle, and you've got an inflatable. It looks like a log that's going around, and you have to jump over it, right? So I was doing really well on it and jumping on time and whatever. So there was this teenager who was running it, and I don't know what possessed him to do this, but it's coming towards me, right? And so I jump to on time to jump over it, and it all of a sudden stops, and so I land, right, and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he starts literally right as I hit the trampoline.
Yeah.
Again, without any time to jump back up or anything. It felt like, I don't know if there's a power setting on there, but it felt like full power, and it slams and it hits my ankle.
Okay.
And I fall to the ground, and I end up getting this fracture in my ankle.
Oh no.
And so
hopefully that kid didn't get fired.
Well, the crazy thing is nobody asked me if I was okay.
Really?
Well,
okay.
My friends did.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
And I was no one offered ice or anything. I didn't know what happened.
Yeah, you didn't know it was fractured.
No one offered ice. So I hopped down the stairs by myself. No one's helping me. And I'm only we're only 15, 20 minutes into I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours that we had got. And so I'm just sitting there. And I had been reading in Job for, I don't know, whatever reason.
Yeah.
I was reading through it, and I remember being struck by the fact that Job has everything taken away, and that he falls on his knees and he worships God. Mm-hmm. And it really felt like the Holy Spirit was whispering in my ear as I was sitting there in pain, waiting for my friends to finish. Their hour, whatever.
Having a good time.
Having a great time. They're all laughing. And I just remember sitting there, and I'm like, like basically faced with this, like, Hunter, you can either worship God, or you can become really bitter right now. And I think right at that time is when God started really changing my heart. Like, because up until that point, I was so blinded to my sin that I hadn't even been faced with the reality of my past and sinful decisions that I was making. And I really see that as a pivotal point in my relationship with God, of just like, I don't know, it really felt like the Holy Spirit was talking to me, just saying, you need to fall on your knees and you need to worship me, even though you're in a lot of pain right now. And that experience, like, dude, that just started like a chain of stuff. So then I I can't do Taekwondo anymore.
Right.
So I was working a job that I was getting paid like $20 an hour.
Yeah. Whoa, wow.
Awesome. Yeah. And back then, like, it went a lot further, even just a few years ago.
Right.
So lose that job. I couldn't really work out like I was.
Yeah.
And now, so like that group of friends are like, oh man, you're an idiot. You just broke your... They weren't acting like that, but it's almost like kind of embarrassing.
Yeah,
Like, I almost felt like I embarrassed myself.
Right.
And so as that semester goes on, I just start having all this like weird pain throughout my stomach, and kind of just like my whole like abdomen was it just started coming in and out, and it was just like really weird. So by the end of that semester, so by I think it was November and December, like it was something where I started actually getting a little concerned about it. So we go to a doctor over Christmas break, and I was hoping that the stomach problems would get better as I was over break, and then it just got worse. And my doctor, she was just like, you have irritable bowel syndrome, IBS is what it's called, which is very common for people to have. And she just like basically labeled me, and it was like, you can take this medicine if you want, you're fine. Yeah. No blood tests, nothing, like just nothing. It was super strange. So I come back, and like, there was something in like the back of my mind that was like, this is gonna keep getting worse. So I go back to school, and I had started building this relationship with this girl, a new girl and it was going really well. So we go back into that, and like that does play into this again. And that was a more healthy, relationship. Still wasn't really aware of how I was idolizing things, but by the time I think it was February, like I got COVID really bad. And so I was knocked down really hard through that. And when I recovered from COVID, I remember like the pain in my stomach that I had felt before was just, it was so bad. It got so much worse. Like to the point where I couldn't get out of bed. Like I felt like people were stabbing knives in my side. I just was in so much pain. It was really awful. Started not being able to go to class. Couldn't focus. I was fatigued. I was brain fogged. And so that starts getting like really stabbing at your ego when it's like you're starting to text friends, be like, "Can you get me food from the dining common? Can you text emailing teachers saying I can't make it to class. I can't turn in my homework." Right. Just like different things like that. And so we go do a couple tests there in Greenville. Insurance wouldn't cover anything, so it's just kind of like,
now financially it's
hitting. And so my parents are like, we're praying about it together. Or like, I think you just need to drop out of school. So kind of even in that point, things are going fairly well with this girl. And then I had built some more friendships where I felt like I made progress. Yeah. I kind of felt like I had bounced back. And then all of a sudden I go home. I haven't spent a long time at home, since the start of my college. So like, I feel completely disconnected. So I come home, there's not really anybody my age at home. And so it goes back to that. And then like, as I get home, it was really weird. I didn't start hearing from this girl like at all. And then eventually she texted me and she's like, "Hey, just so you know, I'm seeing somebody else." And I was just like, at that point, it was just like, okay, regardless of an idol or not, that's going to hurt any guy or gal. It really hurts. Right. And so I just remember, I say all of that because it was a continual working of God in my life where He just starts removing stuff. Like He's just taking it things out of my life that I had hold very closely, very dear. And so, come home and we're thinking, man, we're gonna figure out what's going on with my health.
Yeah.
And so go and do a bunch of tests. All these doctors are like, hey, congratulations, you don't have anything wrong with you. But I was in pain.
Like, it doesn't feel like that.
Like, it doesn't feel like it. And, and where it was really hard because a lot of people will be like, oh, good, I'm so thankful to hear that, nothing's coming back. And I'm like, no, I just want to know. I just want to know something.
Yeah.
And eventually my stomach got a little bit better, but I just started having all this trouble with fatigue where, like, I was somebody who could do a lot physically, a very go type of guy.
Yeah.
To a point where I don't have energy. I don't have any type of, like, I don't know, like going to the grocery store would wear me out, and that was really discouraging. And so, as we go through this, there's just more and more question marks that we're like, maybe we're gonna start going, and maybe eventually it's just gonna get better. And so I go through the summer. Had to cancel my summer plans. I was going to do a church internship out west, and I had to cancel those plans and stay at home. And as the fall approaches, my heart is I really want to go back to school. And I had done some online work up until that point, but I just really want to go back to school. And I started feeling better in August, and I was like, this is awesome. And then 2 weeks before school, I crash, one of my worst crashes ever. And my parents and me and a couple different people that I talked to are like, I don't think you should go back to school. So I was left at a tough choice because my parents travel in evangelism, so they weren't going to be home. Yeah. So we were like, it's probably not going to be the best option for me to stay home. Yeah. So I ended up moving. So my grandparents live near the Anderson area of South Carolina. It's about an hour from Bob Jones. And so my dad was like, hey, you could go live with them, do some online schoolwork, and then, you can go and visit friends and stuff on the weekends at Bob Jones. I was like, okay, that sounds good. And that was probably one of the darkest times of my life. So I was there from August until November. And my grandpa's also an evangelist, so he was traveling. And my grandma has some really bad migraines where she'll be in bed days on end. Yeah. So I was going weeks where I wasn't really seeing anybody.
So the isolation now.
There was this isolation.
Yeah.
And during that time, I just started wrestling with stuff with purity and looking at stuff I shouldn't be looking at. And that was one of the first times that I had ever struggled with that to that extent. Yeah. And so that just becomes a problem because, I'm bored at home. I got nothing to do. I'm lonely. And I just start wrestling with sin. I start wrestling with doubt. And it was just, I would never admitted it then, but I started becoming really depressed. And my walk with God just was hard. I was struggling to read, and that was a comprehension thing of, I just couldn't read scripture. I couldn't pray very well. I'm not seeing, anybody except for when I would make the long trip. Well, not super long, but, make that hour trip over to Greenville, which wasn't super convenient. I'm not working. I don't have really money to pay for gas.
Right. And you haven't been in school, too, so those relationships are very
totally different.
Yeah.
That would have been your freshman year.
Yeah.
And so, my brother's freshman year, same year as you. So I had my brother there, and I could see him, but even, I don't know, when you pop in on a weekend, you're not going to build deep relationships.
Right.
It just doesn't really work. But you can go have some fun and whatever. So, long story short, we kind of do some more testing after that semester, and I was just like, I've got to go back to school. And it took a complete, and at this point, I was a double major, so I had a lot of credits. I had over 150 credits that I needed to do, and I'm starting to fall behind, because I'm taking, 2 classes at a time. Yeah. And I'm starting to fall behind a little bit, so there was a little bit of pressure on that. I'm just okay, I got to go back to school. So I tried to go back to school, try to do 18 credits, and I was on this medication that a doctor had prescribed that was a Christian doctor was like, this is really safe. I've seen this help a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it actually made me clinically depressed. And so, like, it was just something where I felt way worse than I had ever felt. And, like, just, I cannot even explain to you the depth of, like, sadness that I felt. And there would be honest times where I'd be like, I have no idea. Like, I would try to think logically about it of, like, okay, yes, I am sick. Doesn't feel good. I am stressed about school.
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's it. I have no idea why I feel like this.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what it was either. Had no idea. So eventually, I get off it, and really over, those next couple of years, and even up to this point, it's been the same thing. It's been the same story of not being able to, it's honestly, it feels like a miracle that I even graduated. And like, I fully attribute that to God, because, I mean, if you would have seen me, if you've been able to be there with me in school, like, which I guess you were there.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking of our listeners when I said that.
Yeah.
Like, I just basically ate, slept, and did school.
Yeah.
And like, there's just times where I didn't know how I would get papers written. I couldn't write
Right.
papers. I didn't turn stuff in.
Right.
And then there was just a lot of like mini trials,
Yeah.
like, and stuff thrown in there.
You're having to make
Just,
all your
like,
own food.
Cooking all my own food.
Yeah.
I had one of the weird things about whatever I have, which we still don't know what I have, could be like a Lyme disease, we don't know. But was that I look okay on the outside, like 90% of the time. So I could be in a lot of pain,
and no one knows.
No one would know, which is discouraging sometimes, because like, I don't want a lot of attention for like feeling bad,
Right.
But like, people just, when they see you, like, and then you say, hey, I'm struggling, or like, I'm really tired today.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, everybody is. Like,
Yeah.
They
don't
see,
realize
they
the
don't
depth
understand.
of what it really is, because it's so
There's
much
a-
internal
Yes.
instead of being
Yes.
shown
Yeah.
up on the outside.
And even with teachers, like, I was so embarrassed. And, like, most of my teachers, like, worked with me really well, but even just on that deeper level of, like, they didn't really know. Like, there's no way for them to truly know what was going on.
Yeah.
We lost the mic there.
Yeah,
for
we
a
lost the
second.
mic for a second. We are back. So throughout that whole time, talking to teachers, and some of them are understanding, some of them don't.
Yeah, it's just, and it's just like, I think the biggest thing for me is being somebody who is a doer.
Yeah.
I am somebody who is a go get 'em. Like, I really want to, I want to do a lot. And I don't think it's always misled. Like, I think a lot of times it's like, I really want to do a lot for God. Like, a genuine, like, I really want to serve God. And oftentimes I would equate that with, I have to do more, right? Like, I need to be involved in these ways of church. I need to preach more. I need to teach more. I need to evangelize more.
Yeah.
Do these outreaches.
Yeah.
I got to do
Yeah.
all these things,
Yeah.
right? And
Doing more means you're more useful to the kingdom, means you're
Yes,
glorifying God
yes.
more just because you're doing
Yes,
more things.
yes. Yeah, and I think it's probably like this at a lot of Christian universities, but a lot of times, not saying that people who get any of this are not well deserving of it, but it can be, certain people can get noticed for doing things. And so there's almost where, like, I just felt like a lot of times where this was more of a pride thing for me, where it's like I see a lot of people getting maybe praised or glorified,
Yeah.
because they did,
Right.
they're doing this stuff, or like, just like even the award ceremony at the end of the year, it's just like, oh man, this guy got the preaching award.
Yep.
Like, and like, there's a prideful part of me that's like, oh man, I would have really liked to get that, and I don't know how. I think it's probably more prideful than I care to admit, but even just at the end of being like, kind of wish that I would just get recognized for what I wish people knew, like, even like what I am able to do, which is not, just for you listeners, like, that's not what you do it for. You do not do any of this for the glory of others. You don't, and Jesus actually tells us, like, when you fast, don't let people know about it. When you give, don't let you know what your right hand is doing when you're giving. So when I say that, that's just an inward struggle that it's just hard. So it's like, people don't know, because I often get concerned with what people think about me.
Yeah.
It's like, well, people probably don't think I'm serving God because I have these health issues and people aren't seeing it.
Yeah.
So then how are they ever going to respect me?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a real struggle.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard.
Huh.
And so what I had to come to a realization of in this time where God has taken so much away, and one thing I would like to note would be that all the things that God took away are all things that none of us are entitled to. And I had to really realize that, because I think in our American culture we think that we are entitled to many blessings from God. Like as a Christian, that almost like, because I'm a child of God, because I have a relationship with God, it's like, it's normal. Like, I'm going to get a wife, it's going to go this way. I'm not going to really suffer much, like I should have really good health. I should have all the finances. I should have a really nice house, these types of friends.
Yeah.
And the reality is that none of those things are promised to us. We are not promised good health. We're not promised to have a ton of money. We're not promised to find a spouse or to have friends. We're not promised an easy life. And actually, it's the opposite. That Jesus tells us that we are going to have trouble in the world, that we are going to suffer. And I've been reading through 1 Peter recently, and that actually we ought to find joy in the fact that we are partaking in the sufferings of Christ. That as Christ has suffered for our sin in this earth, suffered more than any human being, and he has then made us alive to a living hope, given us an inheritance that is undefiled, that is unfading, that's waiting in heaven for us, being kept by Jesus Christ for us one day. Like, there's all these blessings, and he says, in this you rejoice. We don't rejoice in our good health and the blessings that God gives us on this earth. We rejoice in the inheritance that is to come. And that's something that I had to really learn, because like a lot of my prayers was like, God, give me my health back, give me this, and I almost like I deserved it.
Yeah.
And the reality is, none of us deserve it. None of us are entitled to it. But that doesn't mean that desiring those things are wrong. Doesn't mean that God won't bless you with those things. And what we are guaranteed is that God will take care of his children. That when we, in Matthew 6:33, that when we seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, all these things will be added unto you. Those things are the provision that those people needed in the first century of food and clothing. Like, God loves to give good gifts to his children. So it's not that God's like, I'm just going to give this person a really bad life. But the reality of where we are, I've had to realize, is that whatever I have in a particular day is exactly what I need for that day. And that God has actually provided just enough for what I need for that day. And that could change. Tomorrow I could meet my future wife. Tomorrow I could start feeling really better and feel better for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But that doesn't change my standing before God, or the fact that, like, I was, that doesn't mean that I was entitled to it if I do get it. And so just realizing that, I think, is super helpful, of that when God takes things away, they were never yours in the first place. It never was truly ours. That if God provides you with a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a spouse, that if God provides you with money and he provides you with good health and abilities and talents, man, that's all stuff that God's given you and that he could take away. And that's why we don't worship those things. Because what I had to realize was, man, I was worshiping all this stuff. Like, I was worshiping good things. Like, even the ministry of preaching and sharing the gospel. Like, I was doing that, and it was just like, God just made me realize, helped me to understand, it's not what life is all about. And so, something that I want to encourage you all listeners, that you need to stop and consider, what would make your life successful. I'll never forget this because I had a Christian doctor in Greenville, and I was sitting there, and I still have no idea what's going on. I had a blood test done. He comes in, he looks at me, he says, "Hunter, what would you say is the most successful life? Like, what would make your life a success?" I don't remember what I said. I don't know what I would have said. I might have said, well, that I get married and go into ministry or whatever. And I remember him looking at me and saying, "Hunter, the most important thing in your life is that you love the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, mind, and strength. And that you love your neighbor as yourself." A successful life, like, it's easy for us to feel like I've got to do all these things. And we start putting pressures on ourselves, comparing ourselves. Well, this one guy over here, man, he's a missionary to Africa.
Yeah.
Wow, he must be way more valuable than me.
Yeah. Or this preacher here, he's preaching to thousands, or
thousands.
They have so many followers and they're sharing the gospel on their platforms and all this stuff, or musician, whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's easy to think that a successful life is marked by, again, going back to the things that we do. And I remember stopping and thinking about that, because here's the reality. My walk with God consisted of about 5 minutes of reading mostly partial Psalms and about 5 minutes in prayer for the longest time, because I didn't have the ability or concentration to do that.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had been putting pressure. I need to read my Bible through in a year. I need to, do this. I need to be learning these types of things.
Yeah.
And, like, I just remember, like, I didn't put much weight to what that doctor had said right then.
Yeah.
But it's something that's stuck with me, because I remember that as life went on, like, my worth is not in what I do. My worth is in knowing Christ. And just learning that and being like, okay, mindset change. In the abilities that I have, what can I do to love the Lord my God with everything with all the strength that I have today? For the people that are around me, what can I do to love them as Christ has loved me with the strength that I do have? So, as you listen to this, ask yourself, what abilities do I have? What are my strengths? Like do I have a lot of energy? Because there could be people listening to this, and you are similar to me. You have bad health issues, and maybe not as severe or more severe, but you got to think. What physical capabilities do I have? What spiritual capabilities do I have? Both through my local church, or if you're at a Christian college or in a Christian school, like, what do I have? And like, for me, it was, okay, I'm going to read 5 verses today. And I'm going to take those verses, and I'm going to do my best to either pray or just take one thing away from those verses. And I'm going to try to somehow apply it to my life, or to praise God for it, pray through it. And then, okay, I spent 5 minutes in prayer. And then, like, when it came to loving my neighbor as myself, was like, okay, well, what can I do? And, like, I'm at college, I'm around, so I was also a dorm leader, and I was in the freshman dorm, and I had a lot of freshman guys around me. Yeah. And I'm going to say, some of them, there was some that got under my nerves. And so, like, even just in how I felt every day, it was really easy for me to get agitated with people, just kind of being more irritable. And I just remember thinking, like, oh, this is, man, this stinks. And, like, I would also get frustrated because I wanted to be more involved in church. And I wanted to be more involved with my guys in my discipleship group. And, I wanted to do more for people. And I just physically couldn't do more things for people. And I just remember learning, like, okay, well, for me, it was, let's not snap at people who are annoying to me. To love my neighbor as myself today, I'm going to treat this person with kindness.
Well, our conversation will continue next time with Hunter. That was a lot to think about. A great testimony of God's faithfulness, even to take away things that we love, to remind us what's the most important thing in life, which is our relationship with God. being reminded that what we do for God should be secondary to who we are before God. Our relationship with God is the most important thing about us. And well said by Hunter, and I'm super thankful for his life and his encouragement, and excited about next episode where we will take a dive into what the purpose and the power of prayer is, and what it looks like to have a life that's dependent in prayer, and how God even orchestrated the suffering and pain that Hunter has faced to lead him to a life of dependence and prayer. And I'm sure it's going to be a huge blessing, so you don't want to miss that. Thank you guys so much for listening. Looking forward to next time. Hope it was a blessing, and we'll see you here next time. Thanks for tuning into the podcast this week. We hope you were strengthened, encouraged, and motivated to live a life for the kingdom of God in a fresh way today. Love you guys. We'll see you here next time.